Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salvesen. We are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer.
Let's take a minute to hear about today's sponsors.
Hey guys, time to level up. New and exciting detection technologies are available, and All Safe Industries can help you navigate the details to make the best choice for your hazmat team. All Safe Industries, where your job is a safer you. Call or click today. Hey guys, Bobby from the Hazmat Guys here, and have you noticed that threats have evolved but decon hasn't? Well, that's until now. Hybrid decon is the latest evolution of decon tools and techniques. The concept of hybrid decon has been getting a lot of attention in the hazmat community, but what exactly is hybrid decon? Well, First Line Technology, which are the developers of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes, have produced a downloadable 24-page brochure that explains the concept of hybrid decon and why it is a major improvement over either wet decon or dry decon alone. This brochure answers all the questions you might have about how to simplify your hazmat response. You'll learn why using Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes together will reduce the time it takes to set up, mix, apply, and clean up after or during an incident. You can download this free copy of What is Hybrid Decon brochure at www.firstlinetech.com or simply click on the ad below on our website.
Let's get to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hazmat Guys. This is episode 237. I'm Bobby, and that is Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
He's back. Since you know what? We were joking about what conferences we're coming up to, and from what I understand is the only physical conference that I know of nationally is our good friend Chuck's in Cold Zone, which Mike, I believe, will be going to, and that is June 24th of 2020, I believe.
Just remind me to buy the airfare.
Oh, see, that could be a problem. We might be there, but that conference will definitely...
Well, I can't guarantee you that I'm going to be making it. I'm going to do everything in my power to make it, but things are really crazy right now, so I am going to buy that airfare tonight. I literally just wrote it down.
News on the university, a whole bunch of new courses that have come up. Ben Herskowitz has put up a couple. We have a new chlorine bombing that happened in Syria. There's going to be a case study that's coming up probably live in the next 2 or 3 days. Tons of stuff.
Is that the one where people did what they were supposed to do, and because they did what they were supposed to do, they died?
Yes, it was a weird one. It was a weird one. So
that blew my mind.
That one, the guy that we got to do it is extraordinarily good at doing this one. So that's one to check out. And then Todd Burton's putting up a whole series. He sent me an email. It's like 1,000 of them. It's great.
Did his BHO go up?
That's going up, and I have another one that's like a huge mega pack.
So today's date is 5/21. It's the day before we're releasing. I bring up the BHO because LA just had a whole bunch of firefighters who tried to play marshmallow at a camp roast.
Yes.
And the video of it is just spectacular, but it is literally everything that Todd Burton talks about in his BHO labs. He talks about the butane. He talks about the flammability. He's got videos and studies. I mean, the man is incredible to begin with. And it just the right timing that these, 11 firefighters got roasted on a ladder.
Yeah, that's the module he just gave me. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of days, and we're going to have a lot more about that on the roundtable that'll be coming up. We're doing it once in a month, the first Tuesday of the month at 9 p.m. on our YouTube channel and on the Facebook, the Hazmat Guys podcast Facebook feed.
Yes.
So
before we get into the hot wash, I had a conversation with a listener. And I'm always a little amazed that they find the podcasts but have no idea that we have a website.
Interesting.
because he Facebooked us and he asked us a question, and I said, oh, like I'll get back to you, and I ended up calling him. It was a propane question. Actually, it might be something we could chat about for a few minutes before we move on to the hot wash.
Okay.
His question was, they had a propane tank that was leaking. It was leaking, sounds like from a well, like a pinhole leak, and he's like, what do we do? So we were kind of chit-chatting for a little while, and I gave him what we have, the flare and, the 15 feet off the ground and the da, 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 da. So flaring off is the best thing that you could do. And he's like, okay, he goes, yeah, my officer wanted, or maybe it was a person in his company, he's like, they thought it would be better to take the tank and submerge it in water and let it bubble through the water.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, is this person a technician? And he said yes. I said, okay, so what would the benefits have been from doing that? When we have, I'll give away the thing for anyone who is not very familiar with propane. It is not soluble with water in any way, shape, or form. Its solubility is like 0.03%, like it's ridiculously small, and it's a hydrocarbon. So it doesn't want to have anything to do with water. So bubbling something like propane through water, all you're doing is creating bubbles.
Right.
Right? Like you're not actually doing anything for the dispersion. Your propane is still going to exit the water, come down to the ground, pool, and possibly travel to the lowest lying area.
Or you're using the water to warm the propane to vaporize it faster.
They weren't burning it off. It was just they were trying to scrub it. Yeah, it was just a release. So he was like, "What could we have done? Like, what should we have done?" So my first question was, "Okay, are you operating as a technician company, right? Because just because you're a technician doesn't necessarily mean that every run you respond to, you're acting as a technician. A lot of places have like these county teams or these state teams where you're only acting as a technician once all your equipment is there. Because you can't act as a technician without the equipment. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You have to have the knowledge, the training, and the equipment before you can act in that position. So I said, and he goes, oh, well, we were an operations company. The hazmat company wasn't called. I said, all right, well, acting as an operations, the only thing that you can really do is bring that tank out into the open, wherever the most open area is, and you don't want to just let it bleed out, because you're going to have the potential of pooling the propane vapors, and they're going to run and find a low area. You have to disperse the vapors. So really the only thing that an operations level person can do with a leaking tank at that point is to put a remote stream on it and let it just disperse the vapors as the vapors come out.
Okay.
Can you think of anything else that company would have been able to do? Because that was all that I could come up with for an operations.
No, that's probably the only thing if you stay within the operations guideline.
Right.
I hate to say it, and it's not part of it, but if I was a technician there, acting as an operations level guy, I would have a couple more tools in my toolbox that would fit with the equipment they had on hand, but I could probably handle it a little differently.
Right. But he was the only technician.
Yeah, so I don't
it
think I would.
like,
well, and the thing I'm kind of alluding to is I would open it up fully in order to refrigerate it and put it to sleep. Still, blowing across the top of it, being careful not to put the water on the tank and warm it. But I would using that hydraulic ventilation across the top. I would open that tank up all the way and let it boil itself dumb. Waiting for the technician level. Again, that I would classify that operation would be more of an offensive operation, even for the operations guys.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It would be frowned on.
Because you got to have the adapter to override the OPD.
Yes.
To be able
Which
to
now
do
you're
that.
intentionally doing this.
Right. Yeah. Now this is this is a very intentional thing. When you start overriding a safety device, you are definitely teetering on the edge of offensive type operations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of that was the advice I gave him. I said that's what I would have done. Now, if you were a technician, I went through the whole flaring process and that whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But he's at the end. He goes, yeah, I listened to the episode. I heard about the flares. He goes, but then I couldn't find the episode again. And I said, oh, what? You should have just jumped on the website. And he's like, website? I'm like, yeah, website as well as university. And he's like, I knew about the university. I signed up for it. And I was like, how did you not know about the website?
Yeah, so you can go to thehazmatguys.com or THMGEuniversity.com and check us out.
Yeah, without a doubt. Had a kind of an interesting run that wanted to share with you. Although I guess I shouldn't say I had the run. We had somebody email us about a run that they had, and I will pretend that I was on the run.
So for this, we'll allegedly play the parts of two different people that might have been associated with the run.
Yes, because we interviewed them extensively, and we feel as if we can play first party.
Right, exactly. It's going to sound a little weird, but it's going to be just play with us, people.
All right? This
stay
works.
up.
So this is Anytown, USA, 6:30 in the morning. I can't believe we have to do that. That's just
Isn't that silly?
The most ridiculous thing ever. All right, anyway. So 6:30 in the morning, this department gets a run, and it turns out to be an asphalt truck. Not like the warm. There's a couple different like hot asphalts that are running around. You have the giant hopper in the machine that compresses. It's almost like a hot pellet, right? The hot rocks that lay down. And then you have the actual, like the pure liquid, like the stuff you would seal a driveway with.
But the liquid asphalt.
Yeah, the liquid asphalt. So we get this run as liquid asphalt. And I'm like, all right, like no big deal. Probably they spilt some doing a work or whatever. We go on scene, and as we're kind of like pulling down the exit ramp, we see a whole bunch of firefighters at the belly of a 406.
Okay.
And they're like throwing pop-up pools. And I'm like, oh, we have an actual tank leaking. Must be like a valve or something like that. So we get all of our stuff. We walk to the rig and we start doing our 360, start kind of investigating. And as we look down, we just see a giant puddle of blackness underneath the truck that has flowed down the street. There are lines of speedy dry in multiple areas. Like, I'm going to block this off, and then, holy crap, that wasn't enough. Overcame that dam. I'm going to block it off again. Overcame
my God.
Yeah. Like, it was a lot. So we're talking a 406. It ended up being a catastrophic failure of the tank.
This guy must have been overwhelmed.
Probably. He was probably a bit overwhelmed. I mean, initially you're like, well, there's nothing I could do. And as we pull up, there's another company there, and they're preparing their pumps to pump up this liquid of asphalt, which is steaming and extraordinarily hot.
Okay, I was going to ask you that because usually these things are kept exceptionally hot because if they cool, the product can't be moved, and that's not good business. So usually they're kept in a very viscous.
Yeah, so talk to me about what you know about the asphalt that's really hot, because you said some interesting things right there.
Okay.
All
right, so
I shook my head a little when I arrived on scene. And if anybody was working on this and you're offended, I'm sorry. But they were preparing to pump the hot asphalt into drums.
No, that's a bad idea. Okay,
Why?
so first let's start out with the tank itself. So the tank itself is usually a special commodity tank, right? These tanks have a heating. It's normally not a 406. I'm going to say that, but I'm not going to say there can't be a 406 because, and the reason why I said it is because usually these things have a jacket around them that have heat, like I don't know how to call it, like heated flooring. What is it? That tubing that heats your floor up.
Yeah,
right?
radiant.
So radiant heating. That's what I'm saying. So these radiant heating are usually run off the tractor's engine. All right, and the intent is to keep. Now, think about put your businessman hat on. Is I want this stuff liquefied so I can load it and offload as close to 100% as possible. I want to get all the money I can in and out of it. If it gets cold, I can't move as much because then viscosity goes up. As you can imagine, when they drop this stuff on the concrete or the asphalt and it cools, it hardens, and so that whole thing will happen inside the truck. So that is not in their best interest. So when this stuff comes out, it is, and you'll see this in sulfur trucks.
Yep.
They liquefy sulfur and they liquefy tar. Those are the primary two that you're going to see. It's coming out at well over 200 degrees. I don't know the exact number, but it's hot.
So as a hazardous materials technician, Bob.
Okay.
And I don't ask this question to Monday morning quarterback. All right. I would have no problem talking to these companies about their operation and what they did and what their thought process was. But I want to digest our thought process. And yes, it's going to be different than their thought process. Mm-hmm. So I just not breaking chops, just I want to get good thought process out there.
Okay.
You arrived on scene before me.
Okay.
You have a pretty solid stream of hot tar coming out of the middle portion of the truck, dead center, right underneath the manway, the inspection ports up top. One tank, so it's one big tank. Is your go-to option a plastic pop-up pool or an 85-gallon drum?
An 85-gallon drum.
Why?
Because the hot tar will probably go right through the pop-up pool.
Melted it like it wasn't
it was
even
like a
there.
Shrinky dink, right? It was like
so.
That's a 2-gallon. That's adorable.
So we walk onto this thing, and there is already 2 melted pop-up pools in the middle of this giant tar pit. That now all I'm thinking of is, and I'm probably dating myself, and any millennial is going to scratch their head. Do you remember the show Dinosaurs when we were kids?
Yeah.
Right? With the puppet, not the mama?
Yeah.
There was an episode where when the grandmother hit 75 years old, she was thrown into the tar pit. Like that was the tradition.
Yes.
Right. And that's all I'm thinking is like all this stuff in a tar pit. Anyway, that had absolutely nothing to do with the operation, but I just want to implant that image into everybody's head because that's what it looked like. It looked like the front end of this truck had like fallen into a tar pit. That's how much crap was everywhere.
Okay.
And in the middle of it is 2 melted tar. And they're about to throw another pop-up pool. And we were like, I don't think doing the same thing over and over again is going to get different results. Let's put some 85 16-gallon drums under the small leaks, 85 under the large leaks, so on and so forth. One of the things that I should have done, and I didn't do, and if I could go back and change it, I would. When that tar cools, what happens to it?
Hey guys, Bobby from the Hazmat Guys here, and emergency responders across the country rely on CAVCOM for mission-critical two-way radio communication. CAVCOM's Talk Through Your Ears technology is compatible with any suit, any respirator, and any two-way radio. As an in-suit communication experts, CAVCOM has developed a completely independent communication system that can be truly advancing to your team's ability to stay fully connected regardless of the task at hand. Whether you're working from a command position or responding downrange, their two-way communication solutions deliver the clarity, durability, and reliability that extreme situations demand. CAVCOM will be at the 2020 IAFC in booth 321, where you can experience a live demonstration, and you can see and hear the difference with Talk Through Your Ears. If you can't make it to IAFC, call today for an on-site demonstration of this revolutionary system at 866-547-4988, or visit the website for additional information at cavcominc.com. That's CAVCOMINC.com. All right, let's pick up where we left off. It hardens?
It hardens.
Yeah, it turns into like tar.
It turns into tar. It turns into blacktop. It's freaking road, people.
Yeah.
So when we put the 85-gallon drum into the tar to catch the remainder of the tar so that we could eventually block the tar from continuing to flow like a river down this block, we should have attempted to put something on the existing tar to float the 85 and 55-gallon drums.
Like a piece of plastic or something.
Yeah, anything. Because what ended up happening is you still have hot tar directly under the brake. You put the drum in, the drum sank an inch into the liquid tar pool.
And then it rocked up.
Which, by the way, we were laying out bags of unbroken Speedy Dry as stepping stones in a pond to get to the belly. And by the time the recovery vehicle had gotten there, we had 3 drums out, a 55-gallon drum and 2 85-gallon drums and a 16. We had 4 drums in different locations where it was leaking. They had all tack welded themselves to the asphalt. Like, that's it, people. You're done with the struggle. Our first realization of our mistake was the 16-gallon drum that filled up first. And 5 guys attempting to dislodge one 16-gallon drum and move it and slide it over enough to put another drum in place. That's when we realized that we might have an issue with the other ones. And yeah, it was. So looking back, I don't know what I would have used. I think what I would have done is to either apply water or a CO2 extinguisher
to chill it
real quick, then put tarp, then put the 85-gallon drum on top of that, and use the water to try to rapidly solidify so it doesn't tack weld my drum in place. Because had that recovery vehicle not gotten there within the moments that it did, there would currently be 5 ginormous black lumps asphalted to the road.
All right, I'm going to say something, but I need some supporting information before.
Okay, go ahead.
I wouldn't use any drums.
Okay.
Okay, so first thing I have to know is, did this gentleman that was actually on scene note where the leak was from? Was it actually from the tank itself, the valving, the attachment to the valving? How is it coming out?
Okay. It is streaming out of the middle of the tank.
Okay.
In like a mohawk fashion.
Okay, so it's going from front to back.
Yeah, so, and while I have that image while I have that image in place, I'm going to go through, because let's write that question down, and we're going to get back to what you're about to say. But because I just gave you that image, I also pulled the new guys off to the side, and I said, where's this tank leaking from? And they looked at me like I had just shit a chicken out of my, never mind. And they're like, it's leaking from right there. And they pointed to where all the asphalt was coming out. And I said, no, you're wrong. Your job today is to tell me why you're wrong.
Okay.
And the reason, if anyone wants to pause it and look it up, Bob, you said before that these are steel, or these are tanks that are wrapped in what?
In radiant flooring, and then a jacket outside of it.
And then a jacket outside of it. So when you have a tank like this that's leaking, the actual leak point of the tank can really, it could be anywhere, and then it could filling up the jacket.
And you see this in 312s.
Yes.
right? Because you had those corrosive liners inside, and the corrosive liner is, let's say, is broken up at the 3 o'clock spot, and it gets between the jacket and the tank, and then it falls to the 6 o'clock spot, and it pops out there.
Yes, similar concept. So,
Okay.
So how can we figure out where the tank is leaking from?
How can we? When it stops, you.
No, you silly goose. Thermal imaging camera.
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
we broke out the thermal imaging camera. We had a little drill with the thermal imaging camera. We clearly were able to see where the catastrophic failure took place. We could see everything building up inside the jacket and where it was flowing out. But yes, so to paint that picture for you, for the question that you asked is that it is flowing out of the seam of the jacket all along the belly of the tank.
Okay. Now, second thing I need to know to see if my theory, my mitigation theory would work, is describe to me the valving. Was it a bottom single valve? Did it have a vapor recovery on top?
Nope, no vapor recovery at all.
Okay.
It had 2 valves. One was in the very back of the tank,
Like
down
a
by the bottom.
407.
Right. And the other was up front at the very front of the tank. That was the only valving on the tank.
Okay. Was any in the vapor space?
Was there
Any
no,
valving?
There
any access to a vapor space?
No valving in the vapor space.
Okay, that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. There was no way for us to solidify what was in the tank or the jacket. And just for S&Gs, the officer took a CO2 extinguisher and attempted
to freeze it.
Yeah, just to see what would happen. There's so much heat density in such a huge volume that it slowed it down for a few seconds, but then it returned to its normal flow.
All right, let me explain where I was going to everybody. And this is a trick. It is a viable trick for technician level people. It is something we commonly do with oil tanks that are in people's houses, but it can be manipulated to do whatever you want. Is, let's say you have a diesel truck and you have that vapor recovery line. If you were to hook that vapor recovery line and put it onto your pneumatic pump, whatever pump you use, and you actually suck air out of that, right? What would turn in with your liquid leak going out would actually turn into an air leak going in.
Right.
Right. So, and I'm using specific pumps. I'm using a pneumatic pump that's pumping vapor. Yes, I'm pumping flammable gasoline, whatever vapors through. But we're cognizant of this, but we've stopped or mitigated that tear. That's what I was trying to do, is if I was able to... Now, the viscosity of this is markedly different than gasoline, diesel, or kerosene, or whatever it is. So it probably wouldn't do a great job, but it might slow it down enough for me to actually put some type of patch or use an air chisel to kind of chop out that skin and actually get to the infrastructure.
Right. One of the things that I wanted to do was actually use the CO2 or the water up at the front downstream.
Yes.
And try to just make it not go any further and say, you know what, this thing is going to, if this is totally going to leak out, then let's try to solidify the edges and make this as high as possible. Because later on, they're just going to come in with a backhoe and just scrape the asphalt right off. So instead of having it go into intersections and now, everything is shut down for a week while they mitigate this, they clean it up, at least we could create a giant pile in one spot. But that idea was not implemented.
Yeah. And even I'll put water in there and turn it into a water leak. The viscosity of this it's going to laugh at it. First off, it's going to hit the hot tar and flash the steam.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is actually pressurize the head and push it out faster.
Right. Or you're going to solidify the top, and now you've created a water barrier, and no water's going to get down at all.
Right.
So we ended up going with the drums, and it wasn't bad, except we put the drums into the tar. the tar cooled off and the drums, man, they're there. I bet you they're still there because they have a very interesting problem is that they have to move the vehicle to get the drums, and they have to move the drums to move
get the vehicle.
And I don't know how they're moving the vehicle because the vehicle itself is in 2 or 3 inches of asphalt.
So how did we put this one to bed?
Well, what ended up happening was we started coming up with a game plan of what we would do if the truck hadn't made it. And as we were discussing, all right, what are we going to do now? Because our 85 and our 55 are going to overflow. So what's the game plan? We clearly can't move these. They're tack welded in place. Like, that's it. We're done. So we started devising thought processes of, okay, well, let's take the lids of the 85, we'll bend them in half, divert the stream to another drum, and from there, we'll just keep switching out these drums if need be. I think that ultimately would have been the plan. I do not think the chiefs on scene were comfortable with the idea of, kind of collecting it where it lands on the ground. I think they felt like that wasn't good enough, like we weren't doing something.
Right.
So the option for us was, in fact, the drums, and it was just a matter of, all right, well, those drums are there, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can divert the hot stuff into another drum and then make sure we do not lose those spots. But before we had a chance to do that, the first of the recovery vehicles showed up, started pumping off the fluid, which, started to decrease the pressure, and we never ended up coming to the top of the 85, those 85 and 55 gallon drums.
So they pumped hot liquid off into another vehicle?
Yeah, they used another asphalt container with a PTO pump that sucked the asphalt out of that truck, put it into another truck, and then they ended up needing multiple trucks. So there was a couple of different operations kind of going in line. But once everything was connected and they drained it off, the leak stopped. Everything started cooling in the tank. The whole thing solidified, and then that was it. We were we were done.
That's another thing is I would try to get an early establishment of stopping the heater. Get it to cool. If it turns to rocks don't leak.
Right. Well, the cab was off. The
tractor.
The tractor was off.
Right, which is the heater.
So once that was shut down, it would have stopped heating. But, you have, what is that?
11 billion.
Yeah, gallons of, it's not cooling in the tank. But it was interesting. It was definitely one of those, wow, it would have been nice to think about this ahead of time. Because doing it again, I would definitely try to isolate the tank from the pooled asphalt before I put the tank in so I could easily swap them out.
That's a good one, man. I'm glad that guy gave up that information. It's really helpful for the community. And if you out there in La La Land have anything like this, we actually thoroughly enjoy this. I personally, we say this every single time. We don't like quarterbacking somebody else's run, but maybe we'll get a little bit of a different perspective of this. Luckily, this didn't occur to us, and we were able to objectively talk about this as if we just put ourselves into the situation, which is the talent that we bring to the table.
Well, we make it sound like it's our run.
It's incredible. We are good. We are getting very good at this. Only 5 more years, maybe we'll be actually decent. All right, guys. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at The Hazmat Guys, and take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484.
And we are always looking forward to your feedback about information or interesting incidents that you were a part of, so send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job, get into the job.